So what were you saying? You want to scream out 2 characteristics and then do a little dance?
It's like a TikTok thing. I feel like it'd be funny if we did it.
But how does it go? I don't get it. Do they say like shy, hungry?
Yeah. You would be shy and hungry. I would be also shy and hungry.
That's kind of the staple here.
Yeah.
It does make me laugh because I've been...
How did we make a podcast?
Yeah, seriously. I feel like I'm a totally different person because I've been talking to my therapist about all the anxiety I have in public. And I'm like, if only I just need to picture myself always doing a podcast. Actually, I have been doing that. It's kind of helpful.
This is the only hour a day I speak. I don't talk to anybody else all day. Even if I'm like out, if I'm out to dinner with my family and it's like all of us, I won't say a goddamn word.
I've seen it in action. Yeah, I can vouch for that.
So...
And I'm a nervous talker, so I don't want to talk, but I have to.
I can't stand social media. We should have went into like, I don't know, a different field.
Yeah, maybe like something to help the world or something.
Too much pressure.
Well, you take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
One ladle at a time.
I'm only like outgoing when I drink, which is a problem.
That's the Cassidy line. If it wasn't for that drink, you'd be shy as hell or some shit like that. I mean, hey, man.
I've been doing this thing where I'll yell out to the live band. I'll tell them to play Weezer. I think it's fucking hilarious. Nobody else gets it though.
Hey man, you got to make yourself laugh.
Yeah. The funny thing, I fucking hate Weezer.
If I heard a song, I'd probably know it, but yeah.
You know the Sweater song, Buddy Holly.
Striped Sweater. I know Buddy Holly.
Dissing my girl.
R.I.P. Buddy Holly, man.
Well, you know Rivers Cuomo, the lead singer. You know his brothers, right? Governor and Chris.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Italian perverts.
Yeah, the Cuomo family.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Reuben, formerly known as Beau Oliver, joined here today with Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we are back for another episode of Nerd Soup. What are we talking about on today's episode? Let me look at the title. Oh my God, Deadpool and Wolverine. They're in a movie together, and we're going to review it. And of course, before we do that, you can listen to this episode wherever you get your podcasts. And go ahead and follow us on social medias at Nerd Soup, at Beau Soup, at Nerd Soup Monkey. And if you want some more soup, pledge to the Patreon. It's $2 tier, $5 tier. For $2, you get 3 extra podcasts a month. And for $5, you get 5. So go ahead and check it out. Or maybe not. Maybe this is your soup limit. That's fine. Aaron, how are you?
Yeah, doing well.
I need to change that up. I need to find a different question for you every week.
Well, I'm just going to say, like, oh, good. Or like, yeah, been better. That's all you're going to get. But I did like a nice deep clean of my apartment, and it's very therapeutic. It's usually like, I'll do like one really deep clean a month and then keep maintenance. But that day when you do the deep clean, oof, getting all the nooks and crannies.
There's just something about the deep clean that is, like you said, it's very therapeutic. You have your mind focused on a task. You don't have to think much. Get some steps in, too, if you're tracking your steps. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to clean.
Makes you feel accomplished. Makes you feel like an adult, too. That and picking up your dry cleaning. Every time I pick up my dry cleaning, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing something important.
The other day I went to the post office, same thing.
Yeah.
Although when I go to the post office, it does make me, for the time, a raging libertarian. Shut down the government. This is so inefficient. They're just not doing any favors for themselves. I mean, I'm very, like I said, once I'm outside of the post office, I'm very pro post office. Want to keep those people at work, but god damn, when you're in it, turn into Ron Swanson. Brutal. It's brutal. But I feel like I'm very zen too, because everybody at the post, you always get somebody behind you like, oh my fucking god.
That's me.
Yeah. I try to keep it together. I try to, like I'm better than them. And man, this guy's just so patient. But inside, I'm fucking boiling. Talk about patience and then being really upset on the inside. Deadpool versus Wolverine, or Deadpool and Wolverine, although they do fight a lot in this movie. So this was a film that Beau Oliver said he was going to boycott. But since Beau Oliver is no longer with us, I thought I would take myself, Reuben, out to the theater to watch it. And it's the latest Marvel movie. It's a movie that Ryan Reynolds has been wanting to make for a long, long time. Hugh Jackman came out of retirement. They shot him up full of creatine and whey protein, and he looks as vascular as ever. And even though he has aged, he still looks great. One of our last great movie stars. So, Aaron, I'll let you start off with your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm going to guess here, the 29th MCU movie?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went to this on opening day because I wanted to like, I don't know, man. I miss the Thursday night Marvel releases.
Yeah, the buzz.
Yeah. And I went by myself, and then I saw like a large group of people I knew, and I wanted to fucking die.
Oh, that's great. You sat right next to them. You were part of the gang.
No, I didn't say a word.
Oh, it's even better.
Yeah. I just stood there at my Wolverine popcorn, hoping they didn't see me.
And it's not the one where his mouth is agape, right? That's AMC.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was trying to recapture some excitement. I was looking forward to it. How was your crowd? Because mine was like, I felt very forced. A lot of the applause and cheers.
My crowd definitely enjoyed it. They were laughing a lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't, there were no cheers, not a single one. There were like you could tell that some people were excited for certain cameos, but there was no clapping or cheers. It was a Sunday crowd, so.
The guy behind me kept like saying softly to himself, like, "Oh, that's great. That's great." But I think I had fun with it. And I think that's the main goal that these movies, especially the Deadpool movies, try to accomplish. In the moment, it was definitely cool seeing all the cameos and some of the old characters and new characters, and seeing Wolverine and Deadpool on screen together. You kind of know what you're going to get at this point with Deadpool, with his type of humor and the type of jokes they're going to make. So, like, in the moment, I had fun, but the more like you think about it and look back on it, it's not really the best well-made movie. And I think a lot of my issues stem from even removing the fact that as much as we loved Logan and thought that was a perfect send-off with his character and Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine, I think integrating him into this situation, it never really felt whole. And I think they had a very good opportunity, especially to further develop some of these emotional beats, but I think they failed. And it seems like the focus more was on cool moments and these cheer-worthy Marvel moments rather than making the best movie they could possible. A lot of fun, like I said, so I wasn't going into it expecting a masterpiece, a tutorial on filmmaking or anything like that. So I can't say I was upset at all. And there were a few like bits that I genuinely enjoyed and a few scenes that I thought were pretty well done. So, not a mixed bag. I would say more positive than anything.
Yeah, and I've already made clear how I felt about them bringing Hugh Jackman out of retirement after Logan, so I won't rehash that. I think that these Deadpool movies, they always market themselves as anti-superhero satires, but every single time they fall into the trappings of superhero storytelling, where it's 1, 2, 3 acts. There's an emotional arc with the character where he has to learn something about himself and come to this resolution by the end of the movie. And they keep doing that with Deadpool's character. And they also did it with Wolverine a bit. I don't think that's necessary in a movie like Deadpool. And as you know, they made a couple of jokes at the expense of Disney and the MCU, but it did feel like they were pulling their punches. And I think they've done that 3 times now, where there's just so much opportunity to take the piss out of this entire genre, and specifically Marvel, because it is a Marvel movie. And they don't do it. They do it enough to get the reaction out of fans. But as I said, it feels like your typical superhero story. And it's the same one for Deadpool that they keep telling. I feel so bad for Vanessa, because she's done the same thing in 3 straight movies where he's just trying to prove himself to her. And it's, like I said, it's rinse repeat. And with Wolverine, it's the same Wolverine we've seen a million times, except this time it kind of goes back and forth whether or not the movie that he appears in is good. And the last one he was in was probably the best one. But then this was just the same old thing. He's tortured by something in his past and he doesn't feel like he's actually a hero. And then it turns out he's a hero. I thought that there was an opportunity, or they didn't take the opportunity to make him hysterical, to make him funny. You can introduce him as your same old Wolverine, but, bring him onto Deadpool's level. I think, you can totally remove yourself from, you could still make the jokes about Fox and the X-Men movies and the Marvel movies, but give us just a totally absurd version of Wolverine. Kind of poke fun at him in ways that would almost piss people off. I don't think that they made anybody, I want them to anger the hardcore fans, and I don't think they did that. I think that they catered more to them. There's no joke that, to make Wolverine, like Lego Batman did it perfectly for Batman. They made so much fun of the character itself and how it can really be portrayed as a joke at times. And I don't think that they did that with this movie. So overall, I didn't have that much fun with it, ultimately because it wasn't that funny.
Yeah, I think the humor was definitely hit or miss. It's kind of the same style of comedy we've seen for 3 movies now. And I do feel the Deadpool, for me personally, the humor gets old the more you watch it. And I think on rewatch, it gets less and less appealing. For what you were just saying, I think the only thing that would make people mad was probably the beginning, if you're a hardcore Logan fan, kind of desecrating his grave.
Right.
But
yeah, no, that didn't bother me because
no, I was fine. But they kind of made up for that with the whole Fox montage at the end. I thought that was actually really cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, the desecrating Wolverine's grave. It was cool seeing him fighting with the adamantium skull. That actually ended up being my favorite fight sequence of the movie. But I thought the fights they kept going back to that, where Deadpool and Wolverine are fighting with each other. And I think that there was less of it was only really Wolverine who felt annoyed by Deadpool's presence in this movie. Whereas in the others, it's like everybody hates him except Vanessa. And he is just all over this movie in a way that I found to be a bit too obnoxious. And that is the character. He's over the top. He's going to be in your face. He's breaking the fourth wall. For a guy like Hugh Jackman, who has been playing this angry, pissed off version of this character for so long, let him be the Hugh Jackman we've seen in other projects. Give him a fucking dance number or soften him up a bit. I think that would have been a funnier approach to the character of making him a bit more feminine and confronting that hyper masculinity that has been the defining trait of this character for 20 plus years on the big screen. But once again, I'm asking for a different movie. So yeah, I just found their duo and their pairing to be repetitive as the movie went on, where it was just constantly calling Deadpool the dumb fuck and Deadpool cracking a joke and shut the fuck up and cracking a joke and shut the fuck up. And the cameos it's not something I'm going to get excited for anymore because they've run this multiverse shit to the ground. And they're not offering us anything interesting about what it means to be a human existing in a multiverse.
They didn't bring anything to the story. And I think that's the biggest flaw, especially when you use cameos. It comes off very much as like, please clap, rather than we're doing this for a reason. The choice of characters, I know it's like a goodbye to Fox, but we really didn't get that in a lot of ways because, first of all, X-23 was, I think, and I love the character. I love Daphne Keane in that role. And obviously in Logan, that connection was such a huge part of that movie and why it's so great. They did nothing to translate that into this movie. She had that one little scene with him. That's it. Like they completely, I don't know. I feel like there's an opportunity to dive deeper into that. And even though we kind of already saw it already, but this was a different Wolverine and it just felt like it didn't really do much for the story. And neither did the Wesley Snipes coming back as Blade or Jennifer Gardner for Elektra. I mean, it's cool to see them back, and I'm happy they're back in the roles and, getting a chance to kind of redeem their past performances and past movies, and especially in Jennifer Gardner's case, but it really didn't add much.
Yeah, the Jennifer Garner cameo, I imagine a lot of people were lost. And I thought that the next person who was going to walk out was going to be Ben Affleck as Daredevil. But it ended up being Channing Tatum as Gambit, who ended up being probably my favorite part of the movie.
No, that one was great because it was very, very tongue-in-cheek. And obviously you need to have like deep knowledge of superhero movies and the goings-on with how he was supposed to play Gambit but never really got the chance, and it's a role that he wanted, and there were so many issues going into it to get like some of those inside jokes. But even him just with the Cajun accent and how absurd it was, that's a funny bit that I think actually added something to the movie. The rest of them were kind of just there to be there. The Chris Evans Human Torch, yeah, cool to see, but also I think at this point, like you said with the whole multiverse thing, I think I need more than to be like, oh look, that's so cool, to have it warrant being a part of the any movie or series.
Yeah, I was going to say, do fans really get such a kick out of this? But just based on all the comments I've seen over the internet, they really do. That is enough They don't need them to be integrated into the story in some smart way. It's just their appearance is there. And that's also something that I find strange about the Deadpool movies, is that there is such an emphasis on story when I don't think that they really need one. I think that there were just ways that there were funnier ways that they could have used these characters. But like with Wolverine, they all feel like they come from a very serious world, except Channing Tatum's Gambit, where they come from the movies that they were previously in that weren't comedies or satires. So I would have appreciated if they brought everybody down to Deadpool's level. At first, you could kind of be like stunned by his presence and the way he acts and why is he talking to the camera. But then get in on the fun. I felt like the only characters who were really doing that were Gambit and Matthew McFadden. Matthew McFadden felt like a goofy, silly Deadpool villain. Like he's really not a character that we're ever going to see again, and he's not important in the grand scheme of things whatsoever. He's just some dickhead who works at the TVA. But even the villain was a genuine Marvel movie villain. And there were some points where they tried to make her humorous, but for the most part, she's just evil. And like I said, it's just all the trappings of your normal superhero story.
I actually liked her. I thought that character was cool. Matthew McFadden, I thought he was fucking awful. I despise that character and his performance.
That's pretty harsh.
Yeah, it just wasn't good. It didn't work for me at all. I don't know, maybe I just saw Tom.
Felt like he was just doing Tom Mom's games.
No. Tom would have been... You kidding me? Tom would have won. He won Succession.
Well, yeah. Succession's got good writers.
Yeah, sure. But yeah.
Well, what were some of your favorite bits? What were your favorite jokes? And what did you think of Hugh Jackman? Because he has been getting a lot of praise.
Oh, I think he's always great in the role, and I'm happy they didn't kill him off at the end. That would have actually made me mad if they brought him back just to kill him off as retread the same arc kind of that he did in Logan. But I think he's always great as the character, and it was definitely fun seeing them together for the most part. I enjoyed the van fight scene. Like I said, I love the Channing Tatum bit. Dogpool was funny. I hated Ryan Reynolds.
Nice pool.
Nice pool, yeah. That didn't land for me. I'm trying to think. What was what was that one they kept going back to? The Marvel Jesus one got old after the second time they referenced it. I feel like a lot of it gets stale as you continue to watch and sit. But I thought the Wolverine montage was pretty funny. Obviously, we got Henry Cavill. That was cool to see. He did the fist cock that he did from Mission Impossible.
Yeah, now everyone's like, is he the Wolverine in the 616 universe? Dude, is he the MCU Wolverine?
I know I've said on this podcast I'm going to let people enjoy things, but good God.
The obsession now with anchor beings. Who's the anchor being in the MCU? I don't imagine they'll ever bring that up again.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see Henry Cavill's Wolverine with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man fighting Robert Downey Jr., Dr. Doom.
Well, that is happening. Yeah. Not Henry Cavill. Hugh Jackman will be in Secret Wars. I don't know about Toby. I don't know if they necessarily need him, but Hugh Jackman will be in one of the next two Avengers movies. I could guarantee it. He's wanted to do that for a long time. And from a marketing standpoint, if they're shameless enough to bring back Robert Downey Jr., you fucking bet your ass Hugh Jackman's Wolverine will be in that movie. And that will probably be his final send-off before they get into the MCU's X-Men.
They need to, yeah. For his body's sake. They can't be juicing him up at this age anymore.
That man's, yeah, he is absolutely sculpted. I mean, that was also one of the big talking points, him actually wearing the traditional Wolverine suit and then him putting on the mask. He did look terrifying under that fucking mask. That was awesome to see. I was a sucker for that. I mean, I love the X-Men comics, so... And then Tiny Wolverine was also funny.
I did like Tiny Wolverine. I wish they would have actually showed us Wolverine versus the Hulk, though. Just a little bit.
Oh, yeah, dude. I just wanted to see him jump in the Hulk's mouth and kill him from the inside. And then Deadpool could have said something, probably a sexual joke. A lot of sexual jokes. But if I was like friends with Deadpool in this movie, I'd be like, man, you talk a big game. Let's see you actually have sex with a dude.
Yeah.
Because it kind of feels like you're just joking about it. I don't know if you're really about it, buddy.
That's true. I think Vanessa did hit him with the strap on in the first one.
Yeah, and he didn't like it.
But he didn't like it.
Yeah.
He's like, nope. So.
Yeah, skill issue. As the kids like to say.
But yeah, I mean, Henry Cavill, dude, he's fucking... It's such a perfect casting if you take away the height thing. It's almost like too good.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Fits right back in. Like, fits right into that role. Like, if it goes from Hugh Jackman to Henry Cavill, that would just be... incredible.
Gotta be Jeremy Allen White or somebody under 5'10". I can stand 5'9", but don't give me 5'11". I know the difference.
I mean, I feel like it might have helped too with Wolverine if it was they brought in some characters that he actually has an actual attachment to. I mean, you did it with X-23, but if there's like a Cyclops or a Jean Grey or something like that, I feel like they just picked those characters specifically just to get a reaction from the crowd. And it works in the moment and it works on Thursday night. But like I said, with rewatch and as it ages, it's just going to feel out of place.
Yeah, and it's just the problem with this multiverse saga is you have to bring in so much. You're expecting the audience to bring in prior knowledge of these films and of these characters. So the Wolverine stuff, not only have they done it a million times at this point, but relying so heavily on a movie like Logan, which is the superior film in my opinion, is a little cheap. So yeah, maybe if you had Patrick Stewart or Magneto, any of the characters that he's interacted with. I was surprised that none of them were in it. I mean, I didn't need any more cameos. I just was surprised. I expected them, especially the way that they were marketing it and talking about it as this farewell to Fox. I guess in a way they did that with Professor X's sister, so he's there in spirit. But yeah, all that stuff falls flat for me emotionally. And it's not so much that they're desecrating Logan, because at this point, nobody cares. So this is kind of the state of not only filmmaking, but just art in general. Whatever. But that scene was awful. And Daphne Keane being there was totally unnecessary. As I said, it's just to make people go, oh my God, that's the girl who played X-23. I mean, I'd love for her to come back in some shape or form in the MCU, give her her own story as Wolverine. I think that would be, if they don't do Short King Wolverine, do Daphne Keane. It's going to make people lose their fucking minds. But once again, I've gone full woke, so I would love that. I would give them so much credit for that. And as for how woke this movie was, like I said, the gay jokes and the sex jokes, they felt a little too early 2000s for me. I didn't really get the sense that he was really about it. So I'm going to say this was mildly woke, but it could have been a lot woker. So
yeah, because I did see things. Remember what I said last week? How like that Twitter account that like does it dead ass.
Oh
like,
yeah, what did he say about this?
I don't know. Good to go. Yeah, right.
See, yeah, no, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. If that guy's not upset, then I'm upset.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't kiss Wolverine. There were a couple of boner jokes, but in Deadpool 2, at least we saw his penis. That's still, to me, that bit in Deadpool 2, and also when all of his X-Force teammates die, will always be the best Deadpool bits.
Well, that was funny when he was talking to Happy.
Oh, right, Happy.
It's like, oh, you ever let a team? And he's like, yeah, they all died. I enjoy, what's his name? Todd? Not Todd.
Peter?
Is it Peter? Why did I say Todd? Who's Todd?
It feels like he could have been a Todd.
Yeah. Peter Pool?
Peter Pool.
He's fucking funny. I wish they brought like some, like his crew just kind of shows up in the beginning and I feel like that's kind of the grounding force of the Deadpool character over the past two movies, was him finding family within this group of outcasts. And it seems like they threw everything out in regards, or left it on the side just because so they can have this Deadpool Wolverine, which, I mean, a smart choice. Is going to make a ton of money, and it is what a lot of people wanted to see and made for some great moments. But it almost kind of doesn't fit with the rest of the trilogy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
right. And I can understand it's a character that doesn't need continuity.
Sure, you can do whatever the fuck you want with them. So I think that's the thing. As long as you're having fun and laughing, then they can do whatever you want with Deadpool. And for a lot of people, it did accomplish that. So
right, yeah. And I do wonder if some of that humor is going to wear off when you're not in a packed crowd and you don't have the surprises. Also, why is the void? I'll never understand this with all the MCU movies, why they have to look so ugly, but Jesus Christ, can't get any color or contrast. That is the ugliest setting in all of the MCU, besides the airport that they fight at Civil War. I'll just never understand that. I love
Blind Al too.
Blind Al was funny, yeah. I thought the cocaine bit, yeah.
The cocaine bit was great. And it's a good bit because it was in all the trailers and it still landed for me in the theater. Do you want to build a snowman is fucking classic. Yes, but I can't. And Mr. Paradox's buddy kept checking out Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, I felt a little bad for him. He was so close getting those Deadpool cheeks.
But almost even the way it ended, like, I guess, like you said, but that shouldn't be an excuse. Oh, it's a Deadpool movie. Who cares? But like when the TVA comes and they're like, actually, we can make everything work out for you. And yeah, all your friends will be fine too. Like, I feel like that's not how the TVA works.
Well, that's why, once again, that's why it falls into just a lame superhero ending, where instead of taking the piss out of how everything can be resolved in the third act, make a joke about that. But they didn't. You know, they act like they're so self-aware, but they won't poke fun at the fact that they're doing the same shit that all these other movies do. That's just unnecessary. It could have ended in any sort of way, and then it could have, you know, Deadpool could have came on screen and been like, it doesn't matter because, yeah, this is MCU, but they don't care about my continuity. It's a Deadpool movie. And it feels like they're setting up Deadpool to, I don't know if he's never going to be like a full-time Avenger, but he's going to show up in some of these other movies. And maybe it will just be throwaway cameos just to come in and say something, break the fourth wall, post-credit, whatever it is. But I feel like they're setting him up for not a significant role, but some sort of supporting role in a big way that does impact the larger MCU.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that's silly because that character shouldn't be doing that.
Well, I think we're definitely going to get a Deadpool and Spider-Man. That's... You have to, like,
and I would prefer that because I think that would be, you could still do a Spider-Man story and then you have Deadpool restrained by the PG-13 rating because that's how they did it in the comic, and it was really fun. It was really cute, the two of them, where Deadpool kind of makes a vow not to be not to curse, not to make those sexual jokes because he's so obsessed with Spider-Man and he loves Spider-Man. That to me is funny.
I think with Deadpool, like, it's going to be the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, probably. You're going to, the MCU is at all time down right now. I mean, we'll talk about it. I'm sure people asked about the Robert Downey shit, so we'll get to that. He is popular outside of the MCU. Like, people who hate the MCU watch Deadpool and enjoy Deadpool. So they're going to watch him. If he shows up in a trailer for any Marvel movie going forward, even Secret Wars and whatever, like, that's going to get a lot of people to the theater. More so than any other character they have right now. Except for, well, it's not even a character, it's a person, Robert Downey Jr. But nobody else is bringing people into Marvel movies quite like they are. So you're really going to build, and until we get to the Doomsday part, I don't know what they got planned going forward. I'm sure Captain America will do well, but those movies, the solo movies besides Civil War, like you saw, you needed to bring the whole fucking gang in order to get over the hump when it comes to those movies. So we'll see how well this one does, but I think that, like, even a shot in a trailer is going to boost your box office an incredible amount. And I think they know that. So I think he's going to be a bigger part than a lot of people think. Imagine how much money a Deadpool Spider-Man movie would make.
Oh, yeah, dude. It definitely over $1 billion. You're hitting that billion mark.
Because you're still...
And even maybe $2 billion.
Everyone's going to assume that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's going to be in it.
Right. That's the thing. My initial thinking was Tom Holland, but you really could just take one of these other Spider-Men or all of them.
Dude, a Deadpool Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire and Deadpool, I think would make $2 billion.
Yeah, but Tobey's going to have to show his he's going to have to show his girlfriend all the Spider-Man movies before he does it.
Like I said, like, we love Wolverine. We love Wolverine, don't we, folks? But, like, he's nowhere as
those big claws that he has, those big claws.
Someone said to me,
no, are they part of the bone or the muscle? I don't know.
But he's no fucking Spider-Man.
No, Wolverine is definitely he's an A-lister, but yeah, no, Spider-Man he's the guy. He's number one. He always will be. And like you said, Deadpool it's just bringing together two worlds that have some overlap. But as you said, there are people that will go watch Deadpool and they're not checking in for the rest of the MCU. And then Spider-Man, anything you put Spider-Man's name on is going to be a success. So that would be massive. And Tobey Maguire being the veteran, him having so much nostalgic people having so much nostalgia for those Raimi Spider-Man movies, it would be a massive hit. No, that's coming without a doubt. This isn't the last Deadpool movie we've seen. Ryan Reynolds has been joking on social medias about how much this took out of him, and not necessarily teasing the end, but more so the end of the Fox era. So he loves this character. He's making a shit ton of money doing it. Disney is about to make a shit ton of money off of this movie. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I think Hugh Jackman will eventually be back very shortly.
Did you ever see his claws? He showed me his claws. I was like, wow, those are really big claws.
big claws, folks.
I like Kamala, tiny claws. Wolverine have these big claws. Yeah, if I could do a Trump voice, I'd be so happy. What was I gonna say? You were talking about Spider-Man. What were you talking about? Something went into my brain, and then I got caught up in the claws.
No, like just that. Essentially, that they're all going to be back, and Spider-Man, Deadpool is definitely they're having those conversations.
Oh,
man.
Dude, Ryan Reynolds, he's gonna do this for the rest of his life. All the jokes were about Hugh Jackman. This movie made him an A-lister. If you could look at his filmography, it's fucking trash.
It's horrible. And he just plays this character in every movie now, which is why. And I'm someone who's defended Ryan Reynolds because I think he's a good actor that has failed to challenge himself. But I also think sometimes you get unlucky with the roles that you're offered. But he's been in stuff where he has been good. And he's clear. You can't have that much charisma, comedic timing and not be a good actor. He is a good actor. He's found such success with this, and he's always hawking shit when it comes to his phone companies and his liquor. But yeah, he's going to be Deadpool for quite some time. And people said this initially. All you need is the voice. If he gets to a point where he can't even physically do it, it doesn't matter.
Well, that's what they did for the dance.
Right.
I like the dance.
Somebody did make the point. How come that's funny for people, but She-Hulk wasn't? And it's like, well, see, what you don't understand is a lot of people hate women.
I mean, with Deadpool, it's like a lot of things. It's like, oh, it's funny because it's Deadpool.
Right. I'm taking Meg the Stallion shaking ass over Deadpool any fucking day of the week. I don't know. And She-Hulk. She-Hulk was kind of... hear me out.
Hear me out, and it's She-Hulk.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's take some questions because we asked for some, and most of them are Marvel related. And we've got the first one here from Gorilla the Conqueror. Shout out to Gorilla. He's always asking some good questions. He asks, will Feige be able to pull off casting RDJ as Dr. Doom?
Yeah, let's get into this because I don't know. The more I'm removed from it, like I just don't care anymore. But when I saw that, look, I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. could play a really good Dr. Doom. I'm sure they have a plan on how to integrate it and make it work within the story. I'm not doubting that aspect of it. But what is the real reason? Because there are probably more than a handful, but I can point out a handful right now that can play Dr. Doom just as good as Robert Downey Jr. can. And it's not going to cost you $80 million to do so. Is he that big of a draw? Or in the fact that he was Iron Man in the face of the MCU and is coming back in this role? Is that big of a draw to make this casting decision and for audiences to come see these movies? Because I really don't think you need it.
Right. I think it's a case of...
And oh my God, I've seen the worst fucking takes. It's like, well, look at Chris Evans. Yeah, it's happened before. Completely different fucking story. And don't show me fucking, what's her name from the Eternals and Captain Marvel. Completely different. And there's another one that people were
Gemma Chan.
And there's another one, and it's like you're comparing that to the face of the fucking MCU who sacrificed, Iron Man made the ultimate sacrifice to save the universe, and just taking that guy and now making him your main villain for your next big saga. It's just the uncanny valley. Like, it's just going to be weird for a lot of people. Do we pretend that even if it's a variant and it's Tony Stark, like I can't deal with the whole, oh my God, it's Mr. Stark, he's back. It's like, wait, no, this is a bad Mr. Stark. That's not even Mr. Stark at all. That's going to be fucking stupid. And if they don't even mention it, I'd rather them not even mention it, actually. But it's still going to be very confusing for people.
There's no way those Marvel writers are going to be able to resist having one of the characters remark.
Deadpool comes from here. Wait, didn't you play Tony Stark? Yeah, Deadpool. Thank you.
Well, to your point, like, is he still a big draw? I think he is, especially when it comes to MCU, because just based on the conversation when it was announced and the interactions on his photo. But I think with Marvel is it comes off as you're scared of failing. So you're putting in this fail-safe, this cushion, essentially, that even if the movie's not great, people are going to be interested because it's such a weird decision. And it is, like you said, the former face of the entire franchise coming back now playing a villain. There's going to be natural intrigue and natural hype there. But I find it to be, like you said, the more removed I am from it, I've kind of just been thinking about different ways that they can do it. But it feels...
But you're telling me, like,
feels cheap.
The Russos coming back, if there's Secret Wars, having all these characters and cameos, you put Deadpool in, the Fantastic Four, like, that's not going to be enough for people?
Oh, no, I totally think it would be. That's why it's a little pathetic.
Look, take the Russos, say what you will. Their ideas about AI and the projects they've done outside of the MCU.
Terrible.
They're very open to criticism. They're very good at making movies in this universe.
Yes. Two things can be true.
Yeah. So,
but once again, the amount of what's the budget going to be for this movie when $100 million at the very least is going to your main star. And now they're saying 80 million is going to the Russo brothers. So this is going to be $1 billion movie?
So Infinity War Endgame looked great. Not Civil War. Well, Civil War saved the airport scene. Winter Soldier looked great. Their movies have looked good. You can obviously point out to some of the Disney Plus projects, smaller budget and all that. Okay. But even some of the main MCU movies, people have pointed out shoddy CG and visual effects. If you pay them this amount of money, the Russos and Robert Downey Jr., and this movie looks like shit, it's like, all right, if you pay them, but make sure you pay fucking everybody else too and put time and effort. Don't rush and cheap out on other things because you decided to make this move and the Russos and Robert Downey all this money. So yeah, be prepared, Disney, to spend a fucking shitload of money on these movies.
Yeah, and Endgame's budget was so big, and I think a lot of that had to do with the cast, because I think Infinity War looked better, and Endgame, they're reusing a lot of the sets that they're pulling from previous movies, and even the final sequence, as epic as it is, it's so ugly. The actual setting of it. With Infinity War, what stands out, the look of Thanos. That's the most impressive CGI, one of the most impressive examples of CGI in the history of film. It's up there with Davy Jones and, for the time, somebody like Jar Jar Binks.
But dude, you don't think casting, all right, Cillian Murphy was thrown around a lot. It's just...
Oh, no, I'm totally in agreement with that. It should have been somebody else. If you're going to make Doom your villain, it should have been somebody else. It's just silly.
But you can bring Robert Downey as Iron Man back.
Because, the people the theory that they're running with is that he's going to be in the Fantastic Four universe and he's their Doom. And he's got this relationship with Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic.
As Tony Stark?
No, as Victor Von Doom. And also with Doom, he's only taken off the mask a handful of times in the comics. But then again, that's also strange that you're casting Robert Downey Jr. for him being recognizable. Yeah, just to do a voice behind an Eastern European voice behind the mask. And once again, people have been frustrated by the lack of representation, that they don't cast someone of Romanian descent to play this character, because he is Romanian, he is Eastern European, and that is directly that is the heart of his story. You can't separate his ethnic background from the character of Victor Von Doom. That's always been the origin. It's similar to, I remember years ago you made the point about Magneto, that if you cast somebody who wasn't Jewish, you're removing an aspect of the character that has been so important for Magneto for decades. And I kind of came around on that after hearing that, thinking, yeah, you know what, that is something that is integral to that character. With Doom, I guess because he's just not as big as some of these other characters. I mean, he is, but nobody gives a shit about the origin story. You can just cast an A-lister and put him in the mask, and if it looks cool, whatever. So
the interesting about Magneto, though, is as time progresses, and depending on what setting your movie's in, there's going to have to be some alteration.
Right, yeah. It doesn't really line up anymore. And that's why I think even the idea that they had of making Professor X and Magneto African-American and relating it to the civil rights movement, because it does jump you ahead a few decades and you can still cast them as older men.
Yeah.
I mean, Denzel as Magneto does. I really like that. But, with the X-Men stories, that's the problem you do run into with the multiverse. Because if you were to reboot the X-Men, you can very easily just set it in the 60s or 70s like they're doing with the Fantastic Four. Because I think the Fantastic Four does take place back in the day.
Yeah, it's like a futuristic retro.
Yeah, essentially.
It's back in the day, but it's like a cool back in the day.
Yeah, like the Bond movies, their technology in the 60s, or Star Trek. And I hope that they keep that aesthetic for those films, because I think that would be really fun. But yeah, I mean, the news, when I first heard it, I was just, I thought it was a joke. I thought because Cam was the one who broke it to me, and I thought he's seeing some weird misinformation.
Yeah, I don't know. If I was there at the Comic-Con, I probably would have been like, oh, no way.
Man, if I was there, yeah, that would have been stunned.
This is fucking sick.
That's the guy from Oppenheimer. Oh, Louis Strauss.
Strauss. I mean, good for him, I guess, winning an Oscar and then just getting just a bunch more money.
Well, for him, I love Robert Downey Jr. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. But post-Endgame, when you're going on this awards tour, there were a couple times he took shots at Marvel and his time in the MCU. It felt like he was framing it as, I've graduated from silly performing and now I'm a serious actor again. And then to go right back to the MCU I do think it makes him look a little bit like a hypocrite. And everybody's saying, how could you turn down that bag? But I think it's also, people aren't very sympathetic for this because they're going to go like, it's the pull that he has because he's a big famous star. But there's nobody on fucking planet Earth that needs that much money to star in a movie, especially with all the points that you made about how you're going to bring in people just based on the sheer size of these two next Avengers movies. Where what difference is he really making? It's like win share. How many wins is he really going to be responsible for? How many seats is he responsible for? Maybe it is significant enough, but that is just an absurd fucking amount of money to pay an actor for 2 movies, dude. He's going to make close to $250 million for 2 movies. I don't know. It's not the direction I wanted him to go in. That's the other part of it.
The argument you mentioned before too. It's like, well, Dr. Doom doesn't show his face. Well, then why? What's the point? Is Robert Downey Jr. that great of a voice actor? Because he's not going to be in that suit when he's behind the mask.
Right. And how much time are you going to be giving this character? Because it's such a significant casting and he's such a huge villain. Is this really how you want to introduce Doom? You want to just throw him right into the mix of an Avengers story with no development, or maybe some development in Fantastic Four of Robert Downey Jr.? I think Robert Downey Jr. is only going to make a cameo in that movie. It's going to be Galactus. And apparently he's getting paid $40 million for a fucking cameo in the Fantastic Four. So once again, more budget that you're taking away from a movie that is just started shooting and is releasing in like 362 days. So that's another problem that we've been having with Marvel, that everyone's been having, the rush productions, and it comes out a little sloppy. So not only are you taking time away from your artists to perfect the look of that movie, but you're giving it to somebody who's going to make a fucking cameo.
I do love me that money.
But we'll see. Will they be able to pull it off? Only time will tell.
Right. I'm excited, though.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I'm fucking pumped.
No, yeah, there's, like I said, there's intrigue there to see how they're going to do this, how they're going to spin this.
It's like, I'll definitely be there like opening night.
Let's
it just comes off. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you want to take some questions?
Unnecessary. Yeah, let's take some questions.
Yeah, I think the best word that I saw being thrown around was a little desperate, when you don't really have to be desperate in a position where you're desperate for people to come out and see your movies. Just do what you've been doing, make better movies.
I wonder how they're going to wrap up Kang. I feel like we're being robbed. Yeah, why didn't they just recast it? Kang's an interesting character.
Yeah, and there was so much setup for the character of Kang with the multiverse, and it feels like something that it feels like a big tease at this point, that it's never going to come full circle. And maybe it will with Doom, because I imagine he's going to have something to say about what's been happening throughout the multiverses. But yeah, it's strange. And people always theorize that Kang was really just a warm-up for Doom, but now you're skipping steps. And it was an easy recast because just the nature of the character. There were rumors for a long time that it was going to be Coleman Domingo. I don't think this is the last we've seen of Kang. They can't just leave that be. And I haven't seen the end of Loki season 2 or any of Loki season 2, so I don't know how that wrapped up.
Yeah. I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, talk about living in 2 different universes. Jonathan Majors just put us on the path of Robert Downey Jr. coming back to play Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
Schrodinger's Kang.
Keep seeing an ad on Twitter for a t-shirt that says Schrodinger's cat wanted dead or alive. That's a funny shirt.
That's a good shirt.
Yeah.
This question here, taking a little questions from Ethan. Was Deadpool and Wolverine tasteful in its approach to legacy characters like Blade and Elektra and Wolverine? I don't think it necessarily had to be. Once you announced that this movie was happening, I didn't expect any of it to be tasteful. And I think even if they towed the line of not wanting to, it's either you totally ignore Logan or maybe make 1 or 2 jokes, or you do what they did. So I'm not going to get too hung up on whether or not they were respectful or tasteful, because nobody cares at this point.
I'm happy for Jennifer Gardner. I don't know. It seems like all she's done is do Capital One commercials for the past 2 decades. So to see her back,
Peppermint?
I forgot about Peppermint. Okay, so Peppermint too. But it seems like she's kind of gotten forgotten by Hollywood. So it's cool to see in such a big budget movie and got a lot of eyes back on her. And I'm sure she enjoyed playing the role again. But I mean, when we're talking about legacy characters, has anyone thought about her Elektra ever?
I do. I miss the Netflix Elektra. Man, it should have been her. But yeah, no, she's not this big iconic. It was like, oh my, that's why it was almost a little weird, because if you're going for the pop, even for people that are hardcore, I imagine the hardcore fans are going to understand that, but the general audiences were probably like, is that Ben Affleck's ex-wife from the Capital One commercials? The hell is she doing here?
Oh yeah, that reminds me, I got to switch to the Capital One Venture card to get my double my reward points.
See, that could have been a funny joke.
Yeah.
In the movie. Traveling through the multiverse, do I get points for that? This question here from Morgan. In your opinion, does this movie nullify Hugh Jackman's emotional send-off in Logan? Well, I also wanted to address something, because people keep justifying this movie and also Robert Downey Jr.'s casting as something that they do all the time in comics. And I think that's a ridiculous point, because that is one of the main reasons the comic industry is always teetering on total oblivion, and why people get tired of reading them, because they're constantly being rebooted. Characters are constantly dying and coming back to life, and they take the easy way out. And that's why I said that the multiverse approach hasn't really given us anything that interesting enough to justify its existence, other than giving Marvel passes for bringing people back to life. It's just a way for them to take the easy way out. So, I mean, Logan, to me, it's a great movie. It's one of the best superhero films ever made. I watched this and I feel like it almost doesn't really exist for me anymore, Deadpool and Wolverine, because I can't imagine I'll be watching it anytime soon. And Logan is a movie I probably will rewatch many times throughout my life. So I do think it's pathetic when it comes to the art of cinema, but that's happening across all industries. So it's not unique to film. It's not unique to Marvel. That's kind of my position on it.
Yeah, and you know, like, oh, well, it's technically a different Wolverine, but it's the same Wolverine, let's be honest.
It's the same fucking Wolverine.
Nah, I mean, it's not going to take away. I think Logan is still a great movie. A great movie will be a great movie, no matter if they reboot it, have a sequel, anything like that. I don't think it takes away anything.
Yeah, the only thing is, it's the same thing with Robert Downey Jr. coming back, where you don't have that moment of his last time on screen playing an iconic character, where you can't point back and say that's the last time audiences ever saw him on screen, and it was epic. In both cases, for the actor and the character, because they died tragically, but in a way where they sacrificed themselves for either the greater good or the people they love. And to me, that is special. That is taken away. Like I said, that's just the industry we live in now. Nothing is sacred. And I guess no art is sacred. All art is ephemeral. It is meant to die. But if you're going to defile art, then I have the right to criticize it. And it's not the end of the world. But people seem to get so defensive and so like, well, you just don't understand comics. This is what they do in the comics. Well, whatever. Fine. Yeah, no, that if you want to use that justification, that's fine. But I'm still going to criticize it.
Well, I don't like the just have fun crowd. I still had fun, but I can still realize that not everything worked.
Well, yeah, and I didn't have fun. That would be my problem. It should have been dumber. It should have been stupider, sillier. It should have been like an episode of South Park.
I think people, I don't know, they enjoy these movies, and that's great. Like, I'm not going to hate on that, but I saw like best comic book trilogy of all time and stuff like that.
Oh, I mean, people are saying like this is the best movie of the year.
Yeah.
Hey, I guess it is for some people. This question here from Yolanda. Are you guys hype about the Dune and Penguin Max series from HBO? Dune, I'm not so hype about. I am hype for the Penguin series because I know it leads right into the Batman, and Colin Farrell, love that guy. Loved him as Penguin in the Batman. So I'm more excited for the Penguin than I am for Dune. Dune, I have no idea what to expect, because whenever you don't have the director involved other than being a producer, that worries me, because you can't just copy and paste Villeneuve's aesthetic and think that you're going to have the same success. So I'm a little skeptical about the Doom series.
Oh man, it's just a tweet. I'm looking at it right now, and this is why I hate these. As my Free Guy pulling out Cap Shield will forever be one of the greatest scenes in movie history, and the fact that they added Chris Evans in the scene makes it even better.
You know, I really liked Free Guy.
Sure, yeah.
I thought it was a fun time.
But
and then he pulled out the lightsaber. Oh, sick.
I'm excited for both. I feel the fact that the Penguin does directly like tie into Matt Reeves' universe, I think, is more intriguing. Whereas I'm sure the Dune is going to be good, but the fact that it takes thousands of years in the past, and I'm sure it will have some carryover effect, especially for like the understanding of the Bene Gesserit as a whole and basically their plan, and give some backstory and all that. It doesn't directly, and maybe it will, but do anything for the Dune trilogy, and it doesn't have to. If it's just a standalone, very interesting show about the Bene Gesserit, that's still something I'm gonna fuck with.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the wait and see boat when it comes to that. Where if it comes out and it's getting great reviews, you have to watch it. Sure, I'll watch it. But this obsession with going back in time and giving us the origin, the trailer for Mufasa, holy mother of God, that is an embarrassment. The story of Mufasa, of how he became the Lion King. Are you kidding me? It's a goddamn metaphor. He's not a king. Like he's sitting with his king's council and they're taxing the zebras. The zebras haven't been paying their taxes. Maybe we should murder them. Well, we murder them anyway because we eat zebras. Oh, yeah. Seriously, the next one is going to be like the origin story of Lumiere. How Lumiere became the candle from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
He was a little match in a box. Oh, I'm just a little match in a box. That's my Lumiere.
What do you think Mufasa's healthcare policy is all about?
The healthcare is like if you manage to survive us trying to kill you, we'll lick your wounds for you.
Gonna build a wall around the jungle.
I just and it's like Barry Jenkins, dude, who's coming off of 2 incredible movies, Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk. And I understand, like, go get your bag. You couldn't have done anything else for the bag.
Should have done a Marvel.
Yo, for real. Barry Jenkins, Squirrel Girl. I guess that's never happening. But the Penguin, like I said, I'm so pumped for that, dude. And you know what else I'm really pumped for? James Gunn's DC Universe. I'm buying the hype because I like the approach he's taken. Like I said, Superman or Fantastic Four just started shooting. It's coming out next year around this time. Superman just finished shooting and they're taking a year in post-production. That's how you make a goddamn movie. Give your goddamn VFX artists some time to make it the best possible movie. Spend those 12 months in post-production. And the fact that we're going to get a new Batman with Superman, I'm getting hype about that. If that Superman movie comes out and it bangs, we're back, baby, DC.
I just feel bad that there's always going to be a group of people anyway that hates that Superman because it's not Henry Cavill.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I totally forgot about that shit.
I saw somebody tweet a Snyder fan had the audacity to it was a critical tweet, but he called the cult of James Gunn the James Gunn cult.
God.
If you're a Zack Snyder fan, how can you unironically say that there's a James Gunn cult? Maybe there is, but I got news for you, buddy. You are too.
It breaks my heart what happened to Cavill, man. Because even this new actor, he was good in Twisters, and he seems like a really good actor, but Cavill just had that it factor. He had the look. He looked like he was, and people have made this point a million times over, that it is going to be hard to not think about him in the back of your mind, even for me. And I'm ready to embrace this new Superman. I don't give a fuck about the Snyderverse whatsoever, but it's more so Cavill.
Dude, I hate this fucking app so much. I'm going to delete it. I swear to God.
No, that's what it's really helped me out, dude. Because every now and then I'll scroll on the main account, but then I see something that makes me absolutely sick. Like all the shit with the boxer yesterday. I was just like, okay.
My God.
I was going to close this for Apple.
Yeah. But they're using Barbie and Ken?
No.
Like conservative Twitter accounts are making Barbie and Ken memes where Ken's like the conservative point of view.
Oh, God.
It's just a strange movie to make that meme format.
Oh, good question here from Kev. More about Deadpool. What is one cameo that would have fit so well in this movie but was not present? He says Liev Schreiber. I thought Liev Schreiber was definitely going to be in it as Sabretooth. That was weird to me too when he's like, people have waited decades for this fight. No, I thought that was clearly a nod to the Hulk and Wolverine when I saw that in the commercial. But yeah, I'm surprised Liev Schreiber wasn't in it. And just for the lulz, because Patrick Stewart's such a fucking funny, whacked out guy when he's not acting serious. He's off the fucking walls in American Dad, dude. He's so unhinged. But I'm surprised he wasn't in it. But Liev Schreiber to me was the biggest. That seemed obvious. I can't believe he wasn't in it.
Yeah. Oh, Aaron Judge is making his Paw Patrol debut on Monday.
He's in the new Paw Patrol?
Yeah, he's an Aaron Judge. That's nice.
Well, somebody
when
asked
the,
here, is Jalen Brunson the king of New York?
It's like when the Globetrotters would show up in Scooby-Doo. That was always fun.
Brunson, I think, is king over Aaron Judge. I'm sorry.
Judge is better at baseball than Brunson is basketball.
That is also a fact, yeah. But Judge is also better at sucking in the playoffs.
It's close because New York teeters between basketball and baseball depending on the Yankees, but the Knicks are New York's team because the Nets aren't even close to as relevant as the Mets are here. So baseball does split. So yeah, it's probably Brunson in terms of popularity, and basketball is just a more popular sport than baseball at this point.
No, it probably is Judge in terms of popularity.
Well, if Judge wins the World Series, then yeah. But if Brunson wins the finals this year, it's Brunson.
It's a good time. Hopefully the Yankees just, like I said, they don't choke in the playoffs like they do every year. This question here from Diego. What are some good movie recs for fans of Ghost in the Shell? Literally just watch all of Mamoru Oshii's filmography because they're all leading up to Ghost in the Shell. It's very much like Miyazaki with Spirited Away, where that's where all the aesthetic and the ideas and the themes come together perfectly. But just go back and watch. He's got so many good ones, dude. Live action, anime.
Yeah, I mean, Scarlett Johansson's just great in that, isn't she?
Dude. No. No, she's not. I'm someone who didn't even hate the live action, but maybe one day they'll take another stab at that.
I mean, it is like, it is a classic, right? Especially anime.
Yeah, I think for anime, just the influence it had on movies like The Matrix and other sci-fi films that came after it. But like I said, he's a director that is so underrated. A movie like Angel's Egg, you can find that for free on YouTube. The Red Spectacles, very influenced by Jean-Luc Godard's Alphaville. That's an incredible movie. And like I said, the themes are reoccurring. This obsession with time and the past and the changing world and technology, obviously. So he's got a lot of good ones. And it's a shame that he barely makes movies anymore, man. Some of these great directors just can't find funding. They can't find opportunities. This question here from AZ. Do you think we'll ever get a Gambit as good as Channing Tatum's? P.S. Review X-Men 97. Really been meaning to watch that. That was, I guess, yeah, that was cool for Tatum. He's, like you said, the backstory there. He was cast like a decade ago, and the movie never came into fruition. And apparently he really does love that character. So that was cool for him to get that chance.
I like Channing Tatum.
Oh, I love Channing Tatum. He's hilarious.
The roles he takes, and he'll do cameos. Like, I think his cameo, This Is the End, is fucking hilarious.
He's really funny, man.
And in the Jump Street movies, I'm surprised he's not doing more.
Yeah, what was it? Oh, Magic Mike. I liked Magic Mike 3. Salma Hayek. They should have got her for Doctor Doom.
Well, who's the other one? Taylor Kitsch, right?
Oh, right, yeah. From Wolverine Origins.
Yeah. I guess by default.
I kind of want to rewatch Wolverine Origin. That's one of your favorite movies. Yeah.
That was like one of the first movies like that, and like the prequels where it's like people tell you it's bad, and you're like, "What? No, it's not." Then you rewatch it, and you're like, "What the fuck was I on?" I do think that's one of the coolest title sequences. Is him fighting in all the wars.
Oh my god! Yeah, no, that's unbelievable.
Isn't he Canadian now? What was he doing in the U.S. Army?
I know, right? He could have sat that one out. He could have pulled a Kentucky. Kentuckians love bragging about that. We were neutral in the Civil War. You don't get to brag about that. There's a clear side that was right or wrong. We don't take sides.
Look at this delicious chicken we made, though.
Yeah, that is true. I guess that's what they were cooking up.
Yeah, the only general we followed, well, Colonel Sanders.
Same thing for Switzerland. We didn't take a side in World War II.
Have some conviction.
This question here from Eric. What is your go-to deli order? Bacon, egg, and cheese, man.
Nah, I think the sausage, egg, and cheese is superior.
Okay. I'll mix it up every now and then.
A good deli, a good bagel, you got to do veggie, cream cheese, and bacon. Now that's the good stuff right there. You ever have a cream cheese and bacon bagel?
Cream cheese and bacon bagel? No, I've never done that.
Oh, baby. Before you quit pork for good, try one of those.
That'll be my last one. Tears coming down my face. I like cream cheese and jelly. That's what I got into recently.
But for lunch, you got to go with lunch is, you can get fancy, you can get cute with it with lunch. Breakfast, you keep simple.
Yeah, that is true. Lunches can be cute.
You don't want to be doing tricks on it for breakfast, Just get your regular order and get out. But lunch will do a nice classic turkey bacon sandwich, or you could do chicken cutlet sandwich, roast beef.
Trying to find a good question. Oh, yeah, no, this was it. This question here from T. What other superhero duo would you like to see lead a film? Well, your point in the beginning about how Deadpool and Spider-Man is going to happen would be my answer, because I would love that. I think that's kind of why I wasn't thrilled about the idea of Deadpool and Wolverine, because it feels a little forced. But Deadpool and Spider-Man, it goes back to the comics. They have that relationship. And I think the characters just, I understand there's the opposites when it comes to Deadpool and Wolverine, and Spider-Man and Deadpool are very similar. But I think just the age gap and also the R rating versus the PG-13, I think that could be really fun.
Would you rather see a Deadpool Spider-Man, Spider-Man Fantastic Four, or Spider-Man Daredevil?
Out of those three, I think it would be Spider-Man Daredevil, because I think with Deadpool and Spider-Man, it's going to be a lot of laughs and it's going to be very fun. But there's an opportunity with Spider-Man and Daredevil to make just a great comic book movie. More traditional. And I think I'd be more interested in that, especially because of the relationship both characters have with Kingpin and the crossover there, obviously both being based in New York and having some of the same villains. I think there's a lot of good potential there.
Like a fun odd couple.
I mean, even Hulk and Wolverine, they've always had this great rivalry in the comics, and then they come together to defeat the bad guys, especially with the actors that we have with Ruffalo and Hugh Jackman, or if it was Professor Hulk. Everybody seems to hate Professor Hulk.
Yeah, fuck Professor Hulk.
But hey,
it was fun for like one movie. But
Batman and Superman, it's not Marvel, but a traditional Batman and Superman story where they have to work together and not fight. I don't want them as enemies. I just want them as friends.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed the Batman and Constantine dynamic.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. No, I like that a lot too. And what's the other guy that he's always running around with? The demon. Etrigan.
Oh.
Yeah, Etrigan the demon. He shows up in the Justice League cartoon and they're all scared of him, and Batman's like, nah, he's cool.
Yeah, Justice League Dark's sick.
I love the Justice League cartoons, dude. That's why I'm so hyped for the James Gunn fucking DC universe, man. I hope he pulls it off. Because where they could go with that, man. Justice League, Dark Side, New Gods. Come on, man.
Black Adam.
Oh, shit. You hear about this whole, the army wants their money back from The Rock?
Dude, what was it, like $10 million and not one single recruit?
Yeah.
She got like Sydney Sweeney or something. I would have signed up. Remember the Family Guy recruiting video?
Yeah. It's like a water park.
You gotta do some shit like that.
All the baddies. Okay, one last question and then we'll wrap it up. All right, this last question here from Garner. Does Deadpool and Wolverine mean that the MCU is back, or do they just put out hits every once in a while?
It's like Pitbull, It's like if you ever listen to like a Pitbull album, it probably fucking sucks. But those songs that make it through to the mainstream, Mr. Worldwide, baby.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, dude. Because every now and then you're going to have an MCU movie. I mean, No Way Home really wasn't that long ago. That was a major, major hit. And the Doctor Strange movie did well. And they've obviously had some misfires in between. They're not as consistently great or consistent with the box office as they used to be. So does it mean that they're back to where they were? I doubt that they'll ever get to that point. It's just hard to. It's like the Warriors, eventually it comes to an end, and every now and then your best players are going to play really well, and Steph will give you 50, Deadpool and Wolverine will give you 50. I don't know if you can expect this same quality going forward, because it's just hard.
And I mean, it just seems like we maybe not expect too much, but we're at a point now where every movie feels like has to be a selling point to get people people to come, rather than just focusing on making a good movie.
Yeah, it's a weird place for them to be in. And that's why I'm so ready for James Gunn's DC universe, baby. Let's all jump on the bandwagon. That's going to be fun, dude. If Superman comes out and it bangs and the MCU's like, fuck, like they got their shit together. It took them 15 years, but god damn it, now we have to compete with these guys. Hey, maybe that will make the MCU. No, it probably won't, but maybe it will inspire them to be a little better. Especially like if Superman comes out and it's like a classic American epic where it totally differentiates itself from not only the MCU, but Superman movies of the past, where it's big, it's bright, it's colorful, it's hopeful, it's got an epic score and incredible performances by the actors.
How much would a Superman movie make if it comes out like a week before release? It's like at a 98% Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't know if it hits $1 billion, but it definitely gets like Guardians numbers, like in the high 700s, 800s. It's going to make a good profit. And then I think Superman's an American fucking icon. And I'm pretty sure the first Superman was nominated for Best Picture.
That would kind of rock.
Best film editing, best music, best sound. So not Best Picture. That boy John
Snub.
Williams was cooking up scores. All right, guys, that does it for this episode of Nerd Soup. We will leave it there. We've got some good questions that we'll probably answer more of them on one of our fan question podcasts. So go ahead and pledge to the Patreon if you want to listen to that. If you don't, whatever. I hate you. Just kidding. I have only love in my heart. Aaron, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. For everyone listening, you guys, can't do this without you. Any words of inspiration to leave the people at home, Aaron?
Use your blinker.
Good advice.
Yeah, it makes everybody's life easier.
Use it or lose it, baby.